Good morning. Oh, it is a chilly, wet morning here on the east coast of the United States in South Georgia. It's raining out there. It's been raining since yesterday. And oh, the temperature's in the 40s. Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Today, expect a high of 52 degrees.
Oh my goodness. Today's high is going to be what the low was a couple of days ago. The high is supposed to be 52. Oh my goodness, we were starting off in the 50s just a couple of days ago, and before that, and then the temperature would go up into the 70s during the day. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm wearing my long sleeve shirt today. I've got my, here, can you see this? I've got my fake fireplace going. It makes heat if I click the switch for heat, but I just have it on for the visual effect. Okay, so I'm not going to do my original line this morning. I'm going to use my Vertuo. Okay, so not the Pixie, yes, the Vertuo. And I tell you what, last night I did a whole bunch of reading on coffee beans. Okay, I'm starting my study about coffee beans. My interest has been piqued. Oh, this is Chobani oat, zero sugar plain. Okay, and oh, I should have shown this to you before I poured the milk in. A lovely friend from my Nespresso Cafe corner page made this mug for me with pictures of my Grayson on it, my dog that I had to give up. Okay. So I'm going to use this morning, and I'm going to tell you about something that I learned, okay? So the first thing that I read about was about the two main kinds of coffee beans, Arabica and Robusta. And what's interesting is that, okay, Arabica beans cost more, they're harder to grow, and they kind of just generally take more work. Robusta are cheaper. Lots of times they're grown by people who just clear the land and they, grow the Robusta coffee, and it's not really that great for the environment. This is what I read on the internet, okay? As you know, you can probably find anything you want to on the internet, right? But I read, 10 or 12 different unrelated websites, and they all pretty much said the same thing. Okay, so the Arabica coffee beans have a higher sugar and lipid, that type of fat content. Now, it doesn't add calories. It's not, that amount that's going to affect your weight, but it does affect the taste and the sort of creaminess of the coffee. The Robusta beans tend to be more sort of a harsher taste and more bitter. Robusta are usually used in instant coffee. Now, this is what was really interesting to me. I thought, this morning, I have a few of the boxes still. I haven't emptied everything out into my various coffee drawers and spinners and stuff. So I thought, let me grab a box and read about it. Well, listen to this. This is the first box I grabbed. This is Caffe, which last year in 2020 was a holiday coffee. And then it was, I guess, it was so popular it was continued. I didn't care for it last year, but I really like it now. It is a single espresso. Here, it's very intense, got an intensity of 11, which that tells you when it has a very dark colored capsule, that's usually a very intense coffee. And you can see it's a tiny, tiny capsule. Doesn't get high up. It's not like Okay. See, this makes 7.77 ounces. This makes 1.35 ounces. Okay, so I grabbed out this sleeve that was in there, and listen to this, why we love it. Il Caffe takes you right to the heart of the classic Italian coffee experience. And by the way, I also read that Robusta coffee beans are used more often in espressos, partially because they have a lot more caffeine than almost twice as much as the Arabica beans, but also because of their strength. Okay, so we land that punchy combination of smooth, velvety taste and roasty cereal aromas by blending Vietnamese and Indonesian washed Robustas with a little Colombian Arabica. So this has a lot of Robusta in it. Isn't that interesting? After my reading last night, I felt like, oh, well, I would obviously want Arabica coffee, not Robusta, but not necessarily. So I'm going to get this going. What I'm going to do today is I am going to read about where different coffees come from and how that affects their whatever about them. Now, I will be getting more caffeine in this, which is mostly Robusta coffee, than I would if it was mostly Arabica. So, that's something interesting to know. And I've got a few more sleeves up here. And I've got the internet also to look up about the details of these coffees. So I'm going to go ahead. I put in about that much milk, and the coffee's only going to make about that much. So I'm going to run this through a couple of times. And I have done this before with Il Caffe. Run the capsule through twice so I can have a little bit bigger cup of coffee. It has a really lovely espresso strong flavor, much like the espressos on the original line on the Pixie machine. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. But sometimes you want a strong cup of something that is like, a good strong Italian espresso. And other times you might want more of an American type of coffee, that's not quite so intense. Anyway, so this is what I'm doing this morning. Oh, also I read that sometimes coffee producers or manufacturers will use Robusta, more Robusta, because it makes a thicker crema. But I guess there's, obviously there's so many permutations and combinations and all this sort of stuff with coffee. I mean, Arabica, Robusta, what proportion you're going to use, or 100% of one or 100% of the other, or apparently today, I'm sure I'll find out stuff about where it was grown. On the Nespresso boxes of the coffees, they tell about where things were grown. So I imagine that has an effect on things too, right? So, and yes, Judy said she loves the cup. One of my friends from the Nespresso Cafe corner page made this for me so I could have coffee with Grayson whenever I wanted. Oh, this is nice and strong. I'm going to heat it up just a little bit more because of all the milk that was in it. So this has a good, strong flavor. But you know what? In all honesty, The coffee that I get from the Pixie, the original line, seems to me to have more of a punch to it. Of course, admittedly, I've only tried maybe 5 different types so far, so I've got a long way to go in being able to make broad, sweeping pronouncements about the Pixie, and the original line coffees. However, I've got my Nespresso Advent Calendar coming in the mail for the original line. So that means I'm going to get to try at least 23, 24 different original line coffees as well. I'm excited about that. So here's to you. I hope you enjoy your cup of coffee or tea. I like tea also. But lately I've just been sticking with coffee. Probably with this chilly, wet weather, I may start making pots of tea as well for during the day. Well, listen, you have a lovely day.